All right, boys and girls, it's big time. We're back with Rachel Baribeau, week 2, which I'm pretty excited about because the BCS is coming out in just really in a matter of moments, really. Before we know it, the BCS will be here. And by the time I get myself together and edit and put this online, the BCS will be out. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say about the BCS.
Some people, Brad Edwards of ESPN, which is a BCSologist, that makes me laugh every time I say it because when I was in kindergarten, Ryan, I didn't say I want to be a BCSologist when I grew up or when I grow up. Excuse me. So I just think it's funny. It's like BCSologist, but nonetheless, Brad Edwards is a BCSologist. I like saying it. And he says that at this point, he's predicting Boise State to be up there. Another team that people are predicting to be up there, Ohio State. They have a big showdown with Wisconsin in Camp Randall, a night game this weekend. A nugget, and this is for all your viewers. One of your viewers particularly commented on the nugget, and I want to bring this nugget just for him, okay?
Okay.
Ohio State has not beaten anyone, Ryan, that is currently in the Associated Press top 25. When they beat when they beat Miami, they were number 12, but they have since tumbled out of the top 25. So they haven't beaten anyone in the Associated Press top 25, which makes many people believe. I talked to Tony Barnhart. He's Mr. College Football. He does a show on CBS Sports and also has a column in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And he agrees with me. And my sentiment is, other than, the bowl victory recently, in recent memory, there have been far too many times they've gotten to the big game and just folded, wilted, and not put it up any kind of a fight. And no one wants to see that in a big game. No one wants to see that. But the fact remains they have a couple of big tests coming up here on their schedule. But if they were to win out, they're going to have a spot in that big game, like it or not. BCSologist.
BCS. That's awesome. So, what talking about fired up? How was it around Alabama this week?
There are two different types of fans. I'm sure, as everywhere. There's one that one group that wants to go jump off the proverbial bridge once their team loses a game, the first one in a couple of years. And then there are some that that take what happened and they want to believe that this team will use it for good and will come back bigger, better, faster, stronger. I'm not, I work and cover this team, so I wouldn't consider myself a fan, but I do believe this team is mature enough, is strong enough, is bonded together enough that they will come back. But on that Saturday, last Saturday against South Carolina at Williams-Brice Stadium, they were not the best team. The best coaches were led by Steve Spurrier. Coach Saban admitted that. Ellis Johnson, the defensive coordinator, the best game plan. And they did not have any answer for Marcus Lattimore and the kid with Velcro hands, Alshon Jeffries. And listen, no one expected Stephen Garcia to have that kind of day. The kid, I tweeted it, the kid is like a hair away from being bipolar, okay? He's either really good or he's really bad and kind of crazy. And so no one expected him to have that kind of day. And I don't know that he'll ever have that kind of day again. He's just got some screws loose upstairs. His elevator doesn't go all the way to the top. Probably a really nice kid, but when it comes to the football field, his body of work has not supported anything like he did that Saturday. But he was just spectacular. And South Carolina was the best football team on that field on Saturday. Is a game of swiftly changing mo being short for momentum, okay? And the momentum only swung in Alabama's favor a couple of times. It was really mostly in South Carolina's favor. And so, again, I do think they could do that too, but what they have to do is take care of business, starting with Ole Miss. And Ole Miss is going to be a tough ticket, Ryan, because they have a guy in Masoli, a little something about him. And Masoli is what they have played before up until this point is a guy that could scramble, a guy that presented those different types of looks. But Masoli, and your viewers know, presents a very strong arm. And not only does he present a strong arm and an accurate arm, he's very good with his feet. He can make throws out of the pocket. He can scramble. He can throw on the run. So he's a passer and a runner.
Last week we heard about Bobby Bowden, and
Yeah.
you're Vander Hollyford a little bit with the ear and the hot chica, as you mentioned. So give us another great story about an interview and a person you've met that you can share.
Gene Stallings, I got a chance to visit with him a couple of months ago, and wow, what a coach. You know, a guy that won a national championship at Alabama, but more remembered, if you dig deeper than that, he's remembered for having a son named John Mark. And back when he had him 42 years ago, and about a year, I guess, because he just passed away recently, he had Down syndrome, and he was called a mongoloid. They were told that the family, he and his wife, that they just needed to put him in a home, that he wouldn't live past the age of 5. And he was Coach Stallings' only son. Coach Stallings wouldn't stand for that. He said, no, we're going to take him home. We're going to do this. And, he became his best friend. And Coach Stallings was integral in helping develop the Rise School. And here in Tuscaloosa, it's Gene Stallings at the Rise Center. And it is a school for children that have special needs. But what's cool about it, Ryan, is they have a waiting list out the wazoo for quote-unquote regular kids to be able to go to this school. What I think is really cool is they get exposed to someone who's different as well. And they learn that this world is full of people that are pink, purple, yellow, polka dotted. They come in all shapes and forms. And, they're all wonderfully made in God's eyes. And so it really helps them develop a compassion gene at a young age. And so, it helps them understand each other. And so when kids get older, maybe lessens that bullying, lessens that finger pointing, lessens those feelings of isolation and feeling different and weird. And so it's a beautiful thing. And these schools now are all over the country. And I just think it's awesome what he's doing. And that is his legacy. Ryan, his son recently passed away. The first time I interviewed him, he cried, and to sit across from a grown man, it's tough even now, to sit across from a grown man who has won a national championship and affected so many people's lives, but yet his son's, death is still fresh on his mind. It's hard for you not to cry. I get choked up now. And then we talked about it when he was here last, just recently being honored by the National Football Foundation. He's going to go in the College Football Hall of Fame. And we talked about it again. He teared up again. And I asked him what his son would say, and he said, Rachel, every time my son introduced me, whether it was when I was a coach of Alabama or after, he'd say, my daddy, my best friend, Gene Stallings, a coach of Alabama. And he'd say, well, Johnny, I'm not the coach of Alabama anymore. And he said, Johnny didn't understand that. And so he got choked up this last time talking about the fact that he wished his son could have been there, to be by his side and introduce him when he goes up to New York and goes in the College Football Hall of Fame. But what a neat thing that he took something that could have been a really negative situation, could have been really bad. People didn't understand it. They said things that weren't true because they didn't understand his illness back then. And he is now helping people understand and come to terms with having a special needs child. He's there for support. So many people see what he's done with his son, and they're inspired to be able to help their children more, whether they're special needs or not. And what an incredible legacy to leave. Not just a national championship, Ryan, but to be able to do that and be a part of the Rise Center. It's just, and for me to even be associated with this man is just beyond belief.
Founded on last week's because we were a little worried about leading in with your physical characteristics, and I do that often just because of what you see here. I mean, it's hard for me not to. I'm no Heidi Klum, but kind of a Clooney. Let's go one step further and talk a little more about something to lead in with.
Yeah, this week, what I want to leave with your viewers and all the thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people that are going to be watching this, is you have to be plugged in to your maker, your dreams, all of these things. And literally, you have to be plugged into something. And also, with what you're leading with goes along with what you're plugged into. And so when you have times that are tough, as we all do, and we all know that it never comes in ones, it usually comes in threes. And by that third blow, you want to crawl. You don't want to get up and walk. You want to crawl. But the measure of a man is not how many times he gets knocked down. It's how many times he gets back up. And so whether you have to make yourself note cards, a lot of times from year to year, I will make myself little index cards and I will hide them around about my goals. what I'm trying to accomplish. And, I will put them in different places I find them. What's my 5-year plan? What's my goal? Stay plugged into what it is you want. I've been on an 8-year journey for sports broadcasting. And, a lot of women made it and got discovered. And, it does happen from time to time. They got discovered when they were younger and got snatched right up. I would not trade my journey for anything. I know I'm on a straight line to the top. I know that. I believe in myself, but I wouldn't trade this journey for anything because I met so many wonderful people along the way, so many wonderful interviews. Because all the wonderful people I've met, it's made me a different person. But there have been many times when I've wanted to quit. There have been many times where the door's been slammed, where somebody's told me I wasn't good, where somebody has told me, and not in a constructive way. Sometimes where people have said, they just flat out knocked you down. But I remembered that dream that's in my heart. And I remember that I am good. And I remember in those times, what can I take from that? If there is any kind of positive thing from it so that I can grow and change and be better. And one day I can say, hey, here I am. You said I couldn't do it. And I use it as motivation. So what I really want, your listeners and your viewers to know this week is remember what you're plugged into. Remember that you have to recharge those batteries. But also remember that those tough times are going to come. It is inevitable. But hang on to those dreams. Because what do we have if we don't have dreams at the end of the day? If you don't have love, if you don't have dreams, what do you have? I mean, a man without dreams is like, it's a dead man in my eyes. I tweeted the other day before a football game that, I had chills. I had butterflies in my stomach. And I said, you know what? I'll quit when those butterflies go away because I'm hungry. I love doing this. This never gets old to me. And I pinch myself sometimes. If I ever get to the point where I'm like, I'm so tired of going to that press conference, I remind myself that I'm covering an elite team in the country and doing something that many people would give their right arm for. So stay hungry. That's another one.
I have new words. BCologist and BCSologist. And what was the other one?
Yeah, don't forget that S, Ryan.
Yes. And Mo, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Mo, swiftly changing Mo. Mo is short for momentum. So if you're watching this and you're out at the Buffalo Wild Wings or wherever it is, and you're watching football with the friends, and you want to impress them, say, that football game, it's a game of swiftly changing Mo. Mo, momentum. Don't you know?
Don't you know momentum? I'm still hoping for that Duck Alabama game. Still,
I think it could happen.